Hello people, this is Martha. I'm going to show you how I did my project of malware detection and uploading PE files and detect them and classify them as malware and benign. So I had 3 tasks that I needed to accomplish. So my first task was to build and train the model. So this is how I built my model. At the beginning, I had to install and download. I had to download the files. So I downloaded my xtrain data, I downloaded my xtest data, ytrain data, ytest data, and a CSV file of the metadata. I had to mount my Google Drive so that I have enough space to store my data. I also installed a lot of libraries like Ember, Lief, and a whole lot more. So from the Ember library, I had to import Ember so that I can read my vectorized features from the data files, since the files are in a vectorized format. So this is what I did, and I had to reduce my sample size so that I can train my data with the resources that I have, like RAM and the hard drive storage. So this is what I did. I took the sample size, which is 30,000. I know that there might be a bias because the data is more than 1 million. So there might be a bias since the sample size is very small. But however, for the project, I had to take the 30,000, which also helped in training my data, in accomplishing the project objectives. So I had to also build a PyTorch model or architecture of my model, and I had to call it a Markov, which is a Malconv model, and it's in PyTorch. So I had to download and import PyTorch libraries, and I had to create the structure or the architecture of my model. And these are the dimensions of my model. And this is the structure. This is the output of the structure of the architecture of my model. Then I also had to load, tensorize, and split my data. So this is the code that I use to load, tensorize, and split my data. Then I also had to train the data now. So training my data, I used this code to train my data. And this is the output. And also I had to save my trained data into epochs. So the period or the space of my epochs was 5. After every 5 epochs, I had to save my trained data. So this is what I did. I had to save my data after every 5 epochs. So this is my trained data output. And I had to just take this from another file folder to put it into my Google Drive folder. Then I also had to save the whole output model, the whole output trained model out. So I saved it as one file, as a PyTorch file. So this is what I did. This is my code that I used to save my data, my trained model, my trained output. Then also I had to test my data on the statistic metrics. So these metrics that I had tested was I had to test the accuracy. I had also to test the precision and test the recall. So the precision and the test accuracy was 0.5077 and the precision was 0.5068. The recall was 0.5950, which means that the metrics, they complement each other, and also the high precision in case that there's low false positive rate, and also the high recall indicates that there are low false negative rate. And this may also mean that the malware detected in this model are going to be lower than the benign files. So this is how I accomplished my first task. My second task was to deploy the model. So I used this code to deploy my model. I used this code to deploy my model. Since I had pre-trained data, I just went to SageMaker and I used the SageMaker examples. Then I took the code, I pulled out the code that's the PyTorch code that I can use to deploy my model. So from there, I just customized the code, the pre-trained code that was there to upload my model to S3. And I had uploaded this. I had created a bucket. I created a bucket to store my model. So this is my S3 on AWS Academy. And I had to upload my model so that I can deploy my model into S3 bucket. So this was I had my bucket name. I had everything in the S3 bucket. So I also wrote my inference script. My inference script is as shown here. And I had to create a model object. I created my model object and I had to deploy my model into SageMaker endpoint. This is how I did that. I also installed a lot of libraries so that my code can also run. I had to test my data, to test my model. This is how I tested my model. Then in S3, this is where I had created my bucket. So this is my Markov bucket. So I was calling for deployment of my model, I was calling the files or the trained data files from my S3 bucket. Then I had to go to SageMaker. Since I deployed my model, I deployed it into SageMaker endpoints. So I came here after deploying my model. I came here to my inference and I had to check in the endpoints to see if my model has been deployed. So this is my model that was deployed in the SageMaker endpoints. And these are the properties of my model. These are the properties of my model, and this is what I came up with. So this is how I accomplished my second task. Then for my third task, I had to create a web application, which is a web application client, so that I can send it. I can upload PE files and I can upload PE files and classify them into benign or malware. So this is how I did it. I had to install a lot of libraries. I installed Streamlit since I was supposed to use Streamlit to develop that web application, which is an API. So this is the code that before I wrote my code, I had to write a code to download the PE files, like to convert my model into a PE file. So this is the code that I used to convert my model into a PE file. So this is what I did. And this is my API, which is my code for the API that I used to upload the PE files. So this is the code for me to classify the PE files into malware or benign, and also show the probabilities of these two classes. So class predictions. So this is what I did, and this is I got when I ran my script. I also got this. I got the link to my to my web application. So this is my web application, malware detection and web application. This is the application that I developed. So this is where I'll upload my PE files, and uploading my PE files, that's where I can classify the files into benign or malware. Unfortunately, I couldn't run it like right now, but this is where I'm supposed to classify, upload my PE files and classify them into benign or malware. That was my last task for this project. I thank you.